Have you been feeling the pressure of rising bills and tighter budgets lately? You're not alone. Today we're diving into how the spring statement delivered by UK Chancellor Rachel Reeves could change everything from your benefits to your job. These updates are big, and they might just affect your pocket more than you think, so stick around. Take a quick second to subscribe and hit the like button if this is the kind of content you like to see. All right, folks, it's time for everyone's favorite topic. Government finances. Just kidding. Boring? Maybe. Important? Definitely. Here's why this spring statement actually matters. Why? Because it's going to hit you right where it hurts your wallet. I know financial updates aren't the most exciting thing, but this spring statement could actually impact your wallet. The Chancellor delivered the spring statement with a straight face, but let's be honest, it's a mixed bag of tricks. Some folks are getting a little something, but many are about to feel the pinch. We're talking benefit cuts, rising bills, and a whole lot of uncertainty. So buckle up, grab your beverage of choice, and let's break down how this spring statement is going to impact your life. First, on the chopping block, benefits. Yeah, you heard that right. The government's decided that some folks are having it too easy, even though times are tough for everyone. Remember PIP, the personal independence payment that helps people with disabilities? Well, get ready for some bad news. Hundreds of thousands of people could lose PIP entirely, while others will see their payments slashed. Nearly 370,000 people could lose support entirely. We're talking an average loss of £4,500 a year. That's a lot of money, people. Now, there is a tiny glimmer of hope for those on universal credit. The government is increasing payments slightly. Universal credit will rise by £420 a year for millions of claimants, offering a bit of relief. But hold your applause, because this boost is barely enough to cover the rising cost of, well, everything. It's a classic case of robbing Peter to pay Paul, except Peter's already struggling to make ends meet. The overall system is shrinking. So, what's the deal with these benefit cuts? The government claims it's all about tightening the purse strings and making sure that only the most deserving get the help they need. But let's be real, this is going to hit the most vulnerable the hardest. Imagine being dependent on PIP to get by, only to find out that your lifeline is being yanked away. It's not just numbers on a spreadsheet, it's real lives being affected. And while the politicians make their speeches and talk about fiscal responsibility, it's the everyday people who are left to pick up the pieces, the stress, the anxiety, the uncertainty. It's all too real. Families are already struggling to keep their heads above water, and this is like throwing them an anchor instead of a lifeline. Picture this. A family sitting around the kitchen table, bills piled high, trying to figure out how they're going to make it through the month. The kids need school supplies, the rent is due, and now the little bit of help they were counting on is being slashed. It's heartbreaking. And let's not forget about those with disabilities. PIP was designed to help them live more independently, to cover the extra costs that come with their conditions. Taking that away is like pulling the rug out from under them. It's not just unfair, it's cruel. So, what's the silver lining here? Well, if you can call it that, there's a slight increase in universal credit, but don't get too excited. This so-called boost is barely enough to keep up with the skyrocketing cost of living, groceries, utilities, rent. Everything's going up, and this tiny increase is just a drop in the bucket. It's like giving someone a cup of water when they're stranded in the desert. Sure, it's better than nothing, but it's nowhere near enough to solve the problem. People need real substantial help, not these token gestures that barely scratch the surface. So, while the government pats itself on the back for being fiscally responsible, remember who's paying the price. It's the people who can least afford it, the ones who are already struggling to make ends meet. And that's the real tragedy here. Speaking of rising costs, let's talk about those pesky household bills. You know, the essentials, water, energy, council tax. Yeah, those are all going up. You'll be paying more for pretty much everything starting next month. Sure, minimum wage is going up too, but with inflation hitting 3.2%, it's hard to feel like you're getting ahead. You may end up £500 better off by 2030, but it won't make up for the rising cost of living today. Surprise, surprise. Remember that energy crisis we keep hearing about? Well, it's not going away anytime soon. Brace yourselves for even higher energy bills that'll leave you wondering if you should heat your home or eat this month. Oh, and council tax? Let's not even go there. Yeah, let's not even open that kind of worms. It seems like every year those bills just keep going up and up, while the services they're supposed to fund seem to get worse and worse. Isn't it amazing? The bills rise every year, yet the services somehow keep getting worse. It's enough to make you want to move off-grid and become self-sufficient. Well, at least you'd finally be free from those council tax bills. Okay, so the government's cutting benefits and bills are skyrocketing. What about wages? Surely they must be going up to compensate for all this financial chaos, right? Well, yes, but also no. The minimum wage is getting a small bump. For those over 21, it's going up to £12.21 an hour. That's something. But let's be real, folks. This tiny raise is barely a drop in the ocean compared to the tidal wave of rising prices. It's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Sure, every little bit helps. But this isn't the life-changing raise that many people desperately need. Economic growth, slow and steady, maybe. Now let's delve into the murky waters of economic growth. The experts were predicting a decent 2% growth this year. Not great, but not terrible either. But surprise, or maybe not so much. They've slashed that forecast in half, down to a tiny 1%. But wait, there's actually some good news. They're predicting a slightly rosier outlook for the following years, thanks in part to a surge in house building. But hold your horses, because those are just forecasts, and we all know how accurate those can be. It's a case of wait and see, but don't hold your breath for an economic miracle anytime soon. Jobs on the line? What the spending review could mean for you. Okay, so economic growth is sluggish, but what about jobs? Well, that's where things get a little dicey. The government's got this thing called a spending review coming up in June. Sounds boring, right? Wrong! This review will determine how much money each government department gets to play with. And guess what happens when departments have less money? You guessed it, job cuts. That's right, folks. Your job could be on the line, all thanks to this little old spending review. It's enough to make you want to dust off your CV and start polishing up your interview skills, just in case. The long and short of it. What does this all mean for your future? So, we've covered a lot of ground here. From the intricacies of economic policies to the personal stories of those affected, it's clear that the current landscape is complex and challenging. Benefit cuts, rising bills, stagnant wages, and the looming threat of job losses. These are not just numbers or abstract concepts. They are real issues impacting real lives every single day. It's enough to make anyone want to crawl back into bed and pull the covers over their head. The stress and anxiety can be overwhelming, making it hard to see a way out. But before you do that, let's try to make sense of it all. Understanding the bigger picture can sometimes provide a glimmer of hope, or at least a roadmap for navigating these turbulent times. The short-term outlook isn't pretty. Things are going to be tough, especially for those already struggling to make ends meet. Rising costs and stagnant wages mean that many will have to make difficult choices. The long term, well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? While some experts are optimistic, predicting eventual recovery and growth, others are more cautious, warning of prolonged hardship. The government is hoping that its policies will eventually lead to economic growth and prosperity. They are implementing measures aimed at stimulating the economy, creating jobs, and supporting those in need. But will it be enough to offset the pain being felt by millions right now? The gap between policy implementation and real-world impact can be vast, and many are left wondering if relief will come in time. Only time will tell, my friends. Only time will tell. In the meantime, staying informed, connected, and proactive can help us all navigate these uncertain waters. Government investment. A glimmer of hope. Now, before you lose all hope, there is a tiny glimmer of light at the end of this rather long and depressing tunnel. The government is promising to invest in certain areas like defense projects. This could lead to some job creation, which is always a good thing. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. These investments are just a drop in the ocean compared to the scale of the challenges we face. It's a start, but it's going to take a lot more than a few government contracts to turn this ship around. The spring statement, a sign of things to come. So, there you have it, folks. The spring statement in all its glory, or lack thereof. It's a mixed bag of cuts, increases, and promises. But ultimately, it's a sign of the times we live in. A time of economic uncertainty, rising inequality, and tough choices. So, what does this all mean for you? It's a mixed bag. Some lose, some gain. As always, it comes down to how these changes affect your life personally. Keep your eyes open for updates, and let me know in the comments how you think this will impact you. The question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to sit back and accept the government's version of reality, or are we going to demand better for ourselves and our communities? The choice, my friends, is ultimately yours. So what do you think? Are these changes a disaster, or do you see a silver lining? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear how this affects you. Let's vent, debate, or maybe even find some hope together. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for more unique updates you need to know. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next one.